When the city needs a wave of hope, we rise. This is Stay Wavy TV. Stay heroic. Stay wavy.
In news, y'all, we got a huge Zack Snyder update. He has plans for the Justice League, and he's also teasing a Dark Knight Returns movie starring Ben Affleck, one of the greatest Batmans ever. Batflick. We need that Ben Affleck solo Batman movie, man. So I hope this happens. Let's get into it. Shout out to Comic Book News. Following recent reports, it says, I asked my Warner Bros. Insider for an update on the state of the DC universe. Here is the latest. Zack Snyder's Justice League plans might not be what you think anymore, and James Gunn is being kept from overpromising on his DCU plans. So we got a whole thing between Netflix and Paramount, which could basically decide Zack Snyder's DC future. My DC insiders tell me that while Snyder has shared some of the previous Justice League plans publicly, his current ideas have shifted because superhero movies have shifted. And like everything else at Warner Bros. Discovery right now, what happens next depends on who ends up owning the place. The backdrop got even messier this week after Bloomberg reported FCC chairman Brandon Carr sees legitimate competition concerns with Netflix's proposed acquisition of Warner Bros. Discovery Studios and streaming businesses. Concerns he doesn't share if Paramount Skydance were to acquire those assets. From what I've been told, Zack Snyder's Snyderverse is fully back in play with the WBD sale to Paramount because the Saudis are involved. While the hope is that if Netflix ends up buying Warner Bros. Discovery, Snyder could do The Dark Knight Returns with Ben Affleck. While Christopher Nolan said he won't be directing at Netflix, I'm told Nolan could still be involved and would consider working with Zack as an executive producer since Zack values his opinions. Yo, if we can get a Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan Dark Knight Returns movie with Ben Affleck, if you're gonna do that, then why not just bring back Christian Bale? Right? Listen, let me tell you something, bro. I think Ben Affleck, he actually, looks like Bruce Wayne in the comics. He has the better Batman voice. My biggest critique of Christian Bale's Batman was the voice. I think his Batman voice was just horrible. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then just bring back the GOAT, bro. Bring back Christian Bale. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring back Christian Bale to do it. No. Don't bring back Ben Affleck to do a movie with Christopher Nolan. Bring back Christian Bale, man. So, why Snyder's Justice League thinking has changed. Regarding Snyder's potential changes to his original Justice League sequel plans, the insider's point isn't that Snyder is randomly rewriting the past, it's that the entire superhero market is different than when the Justice League sequel roadmaps were first being kicked around. We can argue that back then, studios sold fans on long runaway plans, but now the pitch seems more flexible and immediate. Fewer chessboard teases, more payoff. Bigger theatrical reason to go, or it gets swallowed by streaming habits and audience fatigue. That's also why I'm told that Snyder's private ideas today aren't a carbon copy of the old Justice League sequel blueprint he's teased in the past. He's adapting to where the game is right now and what actually gets people to show up. I'm gonna be honest, man. I think that what Zack Snyder was doing back then, I think if he can just find a way to make his movies shorter and not have so much filler space in the movies, I think that's the biggest thing, bro. I think people's biggest critique of Zack Snyder was just too many boring, unnecessary parts in the movies. You know what I'm saying? If you look at Batman versus Superman, we didn't get to the action of the movie until the end. You know what I'm saying? The movie was boring until the end when Batman and Superman started fighting each other. That's my biggest critique of Zack Snyder. Other than that, I don't think he has to really change too much. So the Warner Bros. Sale cloud is why everything feels frozen. Here's the part fans keep feeling without always seeing. There's real hesitation inside the company because nobody knows who's ultimately going to get Warner Bros. Discovery. Netflix and WBD recently announced they amended their deal to an all-cash transaction. The bidding fight has been getting uglier in public, with Netflix's side taking shots at Paramount Skydance competing offer. Now add regulators into the mix. Carr's comments are basically a warning flare that Netflix route could face more scrutiny than a Paramount Skydance outcome. That's exactly what David Ellison has been stating all along, who's reportedly has the favor of President Trump and the Trump administration. If you're inside DC Studios, that translates to one thing: don't lock yourself into promises a new owner can cancel on day one. According to an insider, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi are trying to keep things steady at Warner Bros. Discovery. Everyone's on pins and needles because now nobody knows who's eventually going to get Warner Brothers, our insider said. This follows a recent report from Puck News, which insinuated DeLuca and Abdi are fully in charge of Warner Bros. Films, including Gunn's DCU. Gunn may no longer be answering strictly to Zaslav, which is not confirmed. The evidence of the difference between DeLuca and Abdi and Gunn at Warner Bros. Discoveries comes from simply reading Deadline's recent interview with DeLuca and Abdi and then reading Gunn's San Fran's PR stunt with Bloomberg, Worlds of Difference. Among other things, the message is to avoid committing to specifics that might not materialize once the ownership situation is settled. That's also the suggested explanation for why James Gunn has been more cryptic lately about projects and even his own future. Remember, James Gunn, he was doing interviews and, basically keeping everybody updated. He was telling people what's coming in the future. But ever since this whole thing happened where we found out that Warner Bros. Is going to be sold to Netflix, James Gunn doesn't know if he's going to, be in his position for much longer. So, he doesn't want to keep, telling fans what he's going to do in the future when, he doesn't even know who's ultimately going to own Warner Bros. Discovery when it's all said and done. It's just not personality, it's risk management. Nobody wants another era of big announcements that later turn into quiet walkbacks. It hurts the brand. The insider adds that the sale of Warner Bros. Discovery is taking a toll across multiple studio groups because everyone's waiting on decisions that can't be made cleanly until the sale picture clears up. So the Affleck and Dark Knight Returns talk is still there. There's also been talk that I'm told that Ben Affleck still loves Batman and he would come back under the right circumstances. The insider connects that to Snyder's real passion play, a comic accurate The Dark Knight Returns with Affleck. I have also been told that Snyder is using his social media posts to gauge fan feedback. Reactions have exploded online, which aligns with why you'll see him surface old material, while also, again, from what I've been told, quietly recalibrating what the next step would look like in a very different superhero landscape. Nolan and Netflix not directing, but maybe advising. One other detail from the insider: while Christopher Nolan doesn't want to direct for Netflix, he might be open to a limited role if it's tied to Zack Snyder. Think executive producer or advisor, more giving Snyder input than making Nolan a Nolan Netflix movie. So what this means for DC right now, since Warner Bros. Discovery's ownership is still up in the air, DC will keep operating as if it's a holding pattern. That's the bigger context behind new Justice League plans. Snyder can evolve his pitch for where superhero movies are now. Affleck can be open under the right circumstances, and Gunn can keep being cryptic because he's being kept from overpromising until the corporate dust settles. So listen, man, to all my Zack Snyder fans out there, if we realistically want to get another Justice League movie, if we want to get a Ben Affleck solo movie, the only way that that's going to happen as of right now is if somehow Paramount Skydance buys Warner Bros. Okay? If Netflix ends up completing this deal for purchasing Warner Bros. Discoveries, we're not going to get any of those movies, okay? James Gunn is probably going to keep his job. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. And Zack Snyder won't have anything to do with it. So hopefully somehow Paramount can end up... And listen, I don't understand why Warner Bros. Doesn't want to sell their company to Paramount. Like, they must not like Donald Trump or something because, Paramount is offering more money than Netflix is offering. So I'm not understanding why they're so hell-bent on selling this to Netflix. I find that very weird. So, let me know what you guys think in the comment section, man. But, I would love to see a Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, Dark Knight Returns movie starring Ben Affleck. But like I said, if you're gonna have Christopher Nolan involved, you know, have Christian Bale come back and play an older Batman. That's what I want to see. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, why get Ben Affleck when you can get the GOAT? You know, why get the second best Batman of all time when you can get the first best Batman of all time, Christian Bale? That's how I feel, man. It's your boy Wavy. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm out.
Thanks for watching Stay Wavy TV. Hit subscribe, ride the wave, and I'll see you in the next adventure.